Hello beautiful people and welcome to the channel Life After Narc. My name's Debbie and I talk about all things to do with narcissistic, abusive and toxic relationships, as well as looking at healing from them. And in today's video I'm going to talk about what happens when you leave the narcissist. Before I get into that, if you enjoy the video, please click the like button. Please subscribe to the channel and share with your friends, family, anyone who you think may benefit from this video. So what happens when you leave the narcissist? Well, not many of us do, because we're empaths and we tend to stay in that relationship hoping that it will get better, hoping that we will go back to those first days of euphoria, of love that we thought we had. And the narcissist promised this and, says, oh, I won't do this again, but eventually they do. So I left one of my narcissists. This was my first ever real relationship where I lived with this person. And I was living in South Africa at the time, in Johannesburg. And it was a very violent relationship, physically, emotionally, spiritually, incredibly violent. And a lot of it I have pushed out of my mind since then, I guess because I don't want to acknowledge that it actually happened. And I am dealing with some of it at the moment through my therapy sessions that I attend. But if you leave the narcissist, and if you have left your narcissist, power to you, it is hard. So my narcissistic ex moved me all the way to Cape Town from Johannesburg, which is about 1,500 kilometers. And I drove all that distance to be with him. He bought a house down in Cape Town, and it was like, right, we're going to start afresh. And he basically took me away from my family and my friends. I transferred with my job down to Cape Town, not to the position that I was in Johannesburg, but at least I could work. He then asked me to quit working. Basically, I was isolated. I had no friends. I had my car, but I didn't know the city very well. And it was a difficult time, a very difficult time. And we argued a lot, we fought a lot, and he was, as I say, very physical with his violence. And one day he was throwing chairs and furniture and punching holes through doors, and I was terrified and probably screaming, and the neighbors actually called the police. The police arrived and they actually took him away to the cells. And I then rang my mom and dad and asked them to please come and pick me up. So they drove all the way from Johannesburg to Cape Town through the night. I'd started packing. Luckily, I didn't have any furniture at that stage. It was clothing, records, CDs weren't available then. So it was all of these things, paintings, books, that sort of thing that I had with me. So luckily it all managed to fit in the two cars. And I was hoping that I'd never see him again after that. Now I can talk about him because he is actually no longer with us. He did die in a car accident. So yeah, when I got that news, I was sort of elated. I know that sounds horrible, but he got what he deserved. And that's pretty much all we can hope for when we're in a relationship with a narcissist. When I left and got back to Johannesburg, of course, the first few weeks were difficult. I missed him. I missed being with him. But eventually I could see that it was a wrong kind of relationship for me to be in. It was definitely not healthy. And I got a job, started working for a new company. And I remember my mum telling me one evening that he'd rung during the day at her home. Now, back then, there were no mobile phones. This is the days before mobile phones even existed. And he'd rung my mother to ask how I was doing. And I think she said that I was doing okay. And she didn't tell me until a few years later that that had happened. She didn't want to upset me. But then I remember being at my new job and I remember him phoning. I don't know how he found out where I was working or how he got the number, but he did. It was an evening. So he'd phoned directly through to my office number rather than go through the switchboard, so it was very bizarre. And I remember speaking to him, and it really did upset me. I felt, I can't even remember what I felt because it's that long ago, but I missed him. It made me miss him. And I remember that night drinking far too much alcohol, trying to lose this memory of him and that he still cared about me when I know that it was not right to be in that relationship. I didn't have contact with him again until one evening. I was in an area of Joburg called Yeovil, and there was a bar there that I used to frequent, and I knew the barman very well, and we were sort of seeing each other. Anyway, I was sat at the end of the bar out of the way, and he came in with his partner, and they sat down on the other side of the bar, so I really couldn't see them. But where I was sitting was close to the bathrooms, and I remember he walked past me and whispered in my ear, "One day I will rape you." That is the sort of thing that a narcissist will do. And nobody else heard, so nobody else in this world will ever believe that that happened. I did tell the person I was with, the barman that I was with, and he did ask them to leave. But it was a shock to me that he would say something like that to me. A big shock, a really big shock. Anyway, time went on and mobile phones came out, and I had a mobile phone, and I was living with somebody else at the time, lovely man. And we bought a house together, and he was away on business in Cape Town. So on my phone, a phone call came through with the Cape Town code. And I thought, oh, it's him phoning from the hotel. No, it wasn't. It was my narcissistic ex's current partner ringing to ask me if he ever hit me. And of course I said yes, and I told her to get out of that relationship as quickly as she could. Whether she did or not, I don't know, but we were on the phone with each other for about an hour, and I hope that I encouraged my fellow sister to leave him. I really do. But how did I feel? I think I felt a sense of relief. I know that from that relationship, I felt very different when my narcissist left me from this past relationship. I was devastated. I was sad. I was hurt. I was lonely. I felt suicidal at times. I needed support. I needed help. Yet from the first narcissistic relationship, because I'd left, I didn't really feel all of that at all. I do remember one night, I had friends who lived in an area called Waverley, and they had a commune there, and I'd stay there over weekends. It was just more convenient than driving all the way back to my house in Benoni. But I remember him dropping something off there that he'd kept that belonged to me, and I wouldn't go to the door. My friends went and sorted that out for me. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to speak to him. So I was scared of him. But at the same time, I knew that we lived in different cities, so I knew that I could use this time to heal. But I will say that it took me a very long time to get into another relationship, at least 3 or 4 years to get into another relationship. And I didn't sleep with anybody during that time either. I was scared. I was too scared to go through what I'd already been through. And this man pushed me down the stairs once, and I was, landed at the bottom of the stairs broken. Well, not broken, but, broken here. So leaving your narcissist is slightly easier. In my opinion, you might have a different opinion, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are below in the comments. But the sooner you realize that they weren't good for you, the better you will be. And if they phone you and they want you back and please come back to me, I miss you, I love you, don't be fooled, guys, because they will do exactly the same again. That person, we have split up so many times, and he had asked me to come back. And there were some times that I wanted him back. So that hoovering was happening. But it was a sick relationship. It was very, very sick, very, very ill. And if you are in that space, it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to create the life you want to live, not the life they want you to live. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button. Please subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. Also, I am asking for people to sign a petition. I'm going to put the link to the petition in the description box below. It is about a building contract that is going to take place. We're trying to prevent it from happening. And the reason I have such an interest in it is because they want to knock down my home. So if you would sign that, I would really appreciate it. You can sign it from anywhere in the world. Hope to see you next time. Blessed be.